And Djemie, I'm just going to give you a little bit of information on who she is. So Djemie Lespiegle, MSW, she's a psychotherapist and professional life coach, helping individuals align their lives for success in all facets of life. She's recently launched her life coaching business with an extensive background of providing over 12 years of counseling therapy in the arenas of substance abuse, parenting, adolescence, HIV, AIDS, and mental psychosis. Today, she offers a wide range of coaching programs and services, from individual coaching to seminar and keynote speeches. Sometimes it's not a matter of knowing what's right for you, but also translating that into what's best for your life. So her life coaching services are designed to provide a hands-on, interactive, holistic approach to achieving the highest and truest expression of oneself. She believes that one's success are a reflection of being in alignment with their truest self and purpose, which I absolutely love. And she's dedicated herself to helping individuals live their life of abundance by helping them to capitalize on their life journeys through turning their experiences into power. Ooh, welcome, Djemie.
Thank you.
I love it. Just empowering just to read that.
I am just honored to be here because I totally connect with the things that you share on your show. And so I think we're in alignment, right, with being in power.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. So I have a question. So you're a psychotherapist, and I'm wondering, so why also become a life coach? You know, a lot of times people have these assumptions and misconceptions of what it means to be a life coach.
Right.
That, oh, well, they're not really credentialed to do anything, so they just became a life coach. But and I happen to know that's absolutely not true.
Right.
So I'm curious to know why you're a psychotherapist, why also add life coach to that lineup of credentials?
Absolutely. What I love about life coaching is that it's so hands-on and so practical. You know, I absolutely love doing therapy, and the work that I do in my office, oftentimes, you know, just being through therapy myself, I know that translating that into your everyday life is a whole different deal. And so with life coaching, I feel like we get to the nitty-gritty of our daily life and how to implement the great work that's done in the therapy sessions.
That is such a great way to put it, because, you know, because therapy looks at a lot of the background and, you know, some of the underpinnings of why you're doing what you're doing,
right,
why you think the way you think, and then coaching gets to the, okay, let's put this into practice. Yeah. And that's why we said the practice of reframing your life. So,
exactly.
So what would you say if somebody said, well, what does it mean to reframe my life? How would you describe that?
Well, you know, in talking about pain, for instance, it's something that one of the biggest things I point out is reframing what that means to us. We have a concept of pain where we avoid pain at all costs, which is instinctual. Who runs into pain, right?
Right.
And it serves its purpose because it lets us know that this is not okay. This doesn't feel good. Something needs to change.
Right.
But also we need to not be afraid of it, because those are usually the circumstances that are life transforming, that grow us as people.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And we often miss that part of it. We go through the pain in vain. We go through the pain and just like we don't get what we're supposed to get out of it.
Exactly.
And so I think that's really good. So if that is any you know, precursor to what you may be getting for the rest of the show, you might want to stay tuned in, because we've got lots to talk about with regards to that. But first, we're going to get into trending topics.
Primary election, lack of diversity, gas prices.
Michael Jackson, trending topics.
All right. So, for those of you who are big fans of Facebook, I think our children have fled from Facebook quite some time ago when they realized that their parents are sharing things that they don't want to know. So they have fled to other platforms. But those of us who are still very highly active on Facebook, like myself, like those of you who are following the show today, well, Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, has been a part of some hearings that are taking place, and that's because it's called the Cambridge Analytica scandal. And what happened is the information was being gathered about Facebook from about Facebook participants. looking at our habits and our spending and the things that we do, our profiles and things like that. And they were gathering that information so that they can push certain things to us. So I don't know if you've noticed when you go log into Facebook, and if you click that, a link to an ad, more ads from that company, is on your timeline all the time. They've tailored it to you. Mm-hmm. Now, some people from a business standpoint will say that's wonderful because now my product is being pushed to the right people. But as a consumer, we were not given the opportunity to opt out of that kind of, and so that's one of the things that is being presented today. In fact, one of the homework assignments that Zuckerberg has been given is to look into how to allow us to opt out of advertising from businesses. So the trials are interesting because and the jokes that are going around is that Zuckerberg, this young 30-something-year-old guy is having to explain things like cookies, the internet form of cookies, the web browser form of cookies, to people who are like, wait, what? What's that? And for those of you who don't know, cookies are kind of the memories, how the computer remembers where you've been before. And so it's a very interesting, the whole thing is really interesting. And I'm curious to know, as a business owner, how do you feel about, and we're going to go to break, so when we come back, but how do you feel about being able to push your product to exactly the people who you want to have the product? So we're going to talk about that when we come back. We usually talk about it from the standpoint of the consumer, but I want to hear the business side of it. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Coming to Tampa Bay, I said we want to win a Super Bowl, and I believe we will.
From IamSecond.com.
We came close, but never really did win that championship.
Former NFL head coach Tony Dungy.
At the end of my 6th year, I was fired, and it was one of the biggest disappointments of my life. Next year, I'm in Indianapolis, get to the playoffs, but get knocked out again. And for the next couple of years, it's the same thing. Everyone is saying Colts are never going to win one. And I did wonder, why didn't it pan out the way I thought it would? But I determined that I had to have Christ first, and that everything else came below that, including my own desires. The next year, that ended up being our year to go to the Super Bowl and win it, and it was a wonderful feeling. Every decision I make, I'm going to make it through the lens of Jesus Christ, and He guides us to that ultimate victory. I'm Tony Dungy, and I am second.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
You accidentally cut your daughter's bangs unevenly. Do you A, line things up a centimeter from her hairline?
Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man.
No. Sweatbands are so hot right now. Everyone's wearing them. Like that basketball player and that other basketball player.
B, get spiritual.
Mom, where did all the mirrors go?
A reflection could never capture our true selves.
Huh?
Beauty is within.
C, look on the bright side.
Less time blow drying, more time texting.
Or D, show empathy.
Mom, you really don't have
Ta-da! Twinsies!
I kinda love it. As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Brenna.
Hey, Prime.
Spring is in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Love is too, and the weather makes it nice to be out with your boo on a date, unless you don't have any money.
That's so true. But what are we gonna do?
The Loop is gonna look out for the people, because our loyal listeners look out for us on ssnatl.com, Radio Not Them Down. Now, we want you to share the good vibes with other people, those you like.
Or even the ones that you don't like, because, hey, they need it too.
Plus, we got enough to go around for everybody.
Oh, so share and share alike.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say,
You know what to do.
tell them we on, so you can get this quick trip gift card right around the city, 285, 75, 85, top down, wind blowing your hair back, and the gas is on us. Maybe some treats too, so do this.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say, tell them we on, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. when you're inside the loop with Sean Prime and Brenna B.
Welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and today we are talking about going from pain to power. But first, we're following up on a trending story about Facebook with Mark Zuckerberg, who has been going through hearings as a result of the Cambridge Analytica scandal. And so in the trial, according to Vox.com, lawmakers repeatedly asked whether users, that would be us, control how their data is shared with and used by advertisers, by developers, and other third parties. Zuckerberg repeatedly went back to explaining how they can decide what their fellow Facebook users can see. So instead of saying, can we control how our data is shared, he said, well, this is what they can control what they see. But that didn't really answer the question.
Right.
He's kind of adverting the question. And there's two types of privacy issues on Facebook. One having to do with what users are sharing with other people, and another to do with what they're sharing with advertisers and third parties on Facebook, unknowingly sharing with advertisers and third parties. So both of us are business owners, and we both have, things that we want to promote and want people to see. And so I'm curious to know what your thoughts are about Facebook having the ability to let third parties, advertisers, and all that have access to the Facebook users' information for our purposes of marketing.
I know marketing-wise, it makes life so much easier. At a click of a button, you have the ability to reach so many people.
Right.
And it targets people who are interested in your business. And as a business person, being able to target your audience is one of the biggest tasks of marketing.
Yes.
And so, Facebook is an empire in doing that, I have to say.
They
even with, the workshops I do, I can say I want these people, and these people see the ability to attend a workshop.
Right.
And at the same time, on the flip side, I understand people don't always necessarily want to be bombarded and want to have the option, to see things or not see things as well. So I totally get it. But as a business owner, love it.
Yeah.
As a consumer, I understand because I get annoyed with certain things too.
Yeah, it is a double-edged sword. And so, and that's why I posed the question, because I'm thinking on one hand, sure, I like my privacy. On the other hand, it's like, well, I'm kind of not mad because I pay for ads to put an ad out on Facebook as well. So it's really interesting. So I would love to hear what you all think, because if, your thoughts on this, because it is, some violation of privacy, but I'm just wondering if it's a violation that bothers me so much. I don't know. You could mention that I really love cookies. Now I'm talking about the real cookies, the ones you eat, and you'll start seeing advertisements for cookies, and so it's like, I mean,
sometimes it's beneficial in that I'm looking for something, and all of a sudden it's on my timeline.
Yes. And nobody else's timeline but yours, because it's something you're specifically looking for. So I don't know. I have a friend who is very suspicious of this kind of stuff and really is like, they're watching us. Yeah. And I get it. And I'm just like, you know what? They were watching us long before we knew they were watching us. So
True.
I don't know. I have a hard time taking a stance either way. So I do think that maybe we should be able to opt into being targeted for ads. But as a business owner, that's going to make it a little bit more challenging for me to reach my people. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Definitely chime in, and if you leave your message on Facebook Live, we will definitely respond to that. Or you can give us a call at 678-613-5857. Would love to hear about that. So before we went into trending topics, we're talking to our guest, Djemie Lespiegle, who is a psychotherapist and professional life coach, and so we looked at why being a coach, what's the difference, what's the importance of that, and I love how she said that the coaching piece of it is more practical and tangible, and so once you're dealing with some of the more abstract things about why, I don't know if it's abstract, but why you do what you do, now let's look at, okay, so now what are you going to do next? How are you gonna...
Exactly.
But we are going to go ahead and get into some research.
In the interest of science.
All right, so this week's research is brought to you by Red Door Consulting. Now, Red Door Consulting is a boutique management firm that prides itself as an innovative leader in brand development. So let Red Door Consulting upgrade you and your business today. Whatever it is, that image you're trying to portray, Red Door Consulting can help you do that. You can reach them at www.reddoorconsulting8.com. That's www.reddoorconsulting and the number 8.com. So this week's research is 5 tips for healing emotional pain by Guy Winch. So we talked about a little bit briefly about pain and what that can do to us. And so Guy has 5 tips for healing that pain, and I would love to hear your thoughts on these tips. So number 1, he says to let go of rejection. You know, easier said than done, but
right.
You know. So what the life coaching piece does is, okay, how?
Exactly.
How do we let go? So let go of rejection, as rejection usually activates the same pathways in your brain as physical pain. Ooh. And I was doing a lot of reading on research on pain, and it's amazing the similarity in the way that the brain responds to emotional pain and physical pain. The feeling of rejection toys with your innate need to belong, which is a basic human need. And so being able to let that go will make you better off in regards to mental health. So we're gonna sit on that one for a minute. When we come back, I would love to hear Djemie's thoughts on just the whole idea of letting go of rejection. We know, okay, let go of rejection. Maybe she can give us some ways of how to do that.
Absolutely.
So stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Great leaders aren't born. They're made, and not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Hey, Brenna.
Hey, Prime.
Spring is in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Love is too, and the weather makes it nice to be out with your boo on a date, unless you don't have any money.
That's so true. But what are we going to do?
The Loop is going to look out for the people, because our loyal listeners look out for us on ssnatl.com, radio not come down. Now, we want you to share the good vibes with other people, those you like.
Or even the ones that you don't like, because, hey, they need it too.
Plus, we got enough to go around for everybody.
Oh, so share and share alike.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say,
you know what to do.
Tell them we on, so you can get this quick trip gift card, ride around the city, 285, 75, 85, top down, wind blowing your hair back, and the gas is on us. And maybe some treats too, so do this.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say, tell them we on, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. when you're inside the loop with Sean Prime and Brenna B.
Oh, long time no see. It's me, the rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I could really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
If you're looking for that ratchet, you're in the wrong place. It's the nation's urban internet station, Sensation Station Network.
Welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and we we are talking about going from pain to power, and I am joined by Djemie Lespiegle, who is a psychotherapist and a life coach. And so the first thing, we were going through the research and looking at 5 ways to relieve pain or to eliminate pain from our lives. And number 1, according to Guy Winch, is let go of rejection. So rejection interestingly, it activates some of the same pathways in our brain as physical pain does. So do you have any ideas or suggestion with regards to how we can let go of rejection?
Well, I think rejection ties into our worth and our value, right? So when we feel rejected, there's a sense of I wasn't good enough. And so that ties into your whole self-worth.
Right.
And so in order to target that and be able to let go of rejection, then we have to fuel your self-worth and your value.
Right.
And so you want to engage in activities or tap into some of the things that bring value to your life. That just reminds you that wasn't for you, but that doesn't mean you're not still valuable.
I love that. I love that. So it's reclaiming that value, because what rejection does is kind of diminish a sense of value, or at least the perception of you. It doesn't really devalue you.
Exactly.
It's just so you have to reclaim that perception of your value actively. So I really love that. That's great. That's great. Okay. So the second one is, with regards to a way of healing your emotional pain, is avoid ruminating. So ruminating is when you're just kind of dwelling on something and you're thinking about it over and over again, and you're calling your friend. You're like, okay, wait, I have one more thing. Like, this is just, so avoid ruminating over it. And as according to Guy here, when you ruminate or brood over a past hurt, the memories you play in your mind only become increasingly distressing and causes more anger without providing new insights, because you're ruminating it in your mind, and it's just whatever you're imagining about that situation probably only gets worse, as opposed to, to getting better. So in other words, while reflecting on a painful event can help you reach an understanding or closure about it, ruminating simply increases your stress levels, and it actually can be addictive. Wow.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, and I know I'm asking you these things for the moment. So if you need time to process, but I'm just curious your thoughts about ruminating.
I mean, the thing about ruminate, it's imprinting on your brain and imprinting on your heart. You have to think of it that way. Is that, you're setting it in stone.
Yes.
Something that you can put meaning to.
Right.
Whatever has happened, but you have the power to put whatever meaning you want. And so when we ruminate about it, we stay in that victim role and imprint that in our hearts and our brains, and we run with it.
Wow. That is powerful. And, some of the ways that I have found to, to kind of avoid ruminating is to put it to rest through meditation. And so there's different meditation techniques that I've seen where, you put whatever the issues are, mentally. You imagine yourself writing them, putting them into a basket, and you watch that basket kind of float away into the sky, and it's gone forever.
Right.
I've done a funeral service in my mind for that issue.
There you go.
I have literally put that issue to rest, and we've buried it and put it under the ground, And so and for me, in literally visualizing the funeral service and the casket being rolled, I know that's pretty deep. But watching it going to the casket, there's nothing I can do about it once it's down there. So, so for me, that's one of the ways that I've been able to avoid ruminating. So. Okay, number 3, in terms of how to heal your emotional pain, turn failure into something positive. So if you allow yourself to feel helpless after a failure or blame it on your lack of ability or bad luck, it's likely to lower your self-esteem. Blaming failure on specific factors within your control, such as planning and execution, is likely to be less damaging, but even better is focusing on ways you can improve and be better. What do you think about that?
That one is key because, and it goes back to our perceptions of failure, right? And so if we anticipate failure, then we don't have to fear it, and it doesn't have to define our goals and our lives. If we can anticipate that failure is part of our process, then we can take control of our failed experiences and grow from them.
I knew I loved her. So, because I am one of those people who, when people say failure is not an option, and I'm like, Okay, so we're going to talk about that, whether or not failure is an option, and what your thoughts are on people who proclaim failure is not an option. We'll be right back.
Become the new you at Cobb County Kia. Get 0% APR financing for 75 months on select new 2017 and 2018 Kia Forte, Sportage, Sorrento, and Optimus. Kia has been voted #1 in initial quality by J.D. Power for the second year in a row. Shop Cobb County Kia in Kennesaw and CobbCountyKia.com. Down payment will vary with APR and credit. For example, 0.0% APR with 25% down payment provided for 75 monthly payments of $13.33 per 1,000 finance for qualified buyers. APR finance available through KMF to qualified buyers. See dealer for complete details.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/therightseat. That's safercar.gov/therightseat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing and
Welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I am joined by Djemie, who is a psychotherapist and a life coach. And we're talking about 5 ways to heal your emotional pain. And so for those of you who are just joining us, we looked at letting go of rejection, avoiding ruminating, turning failure into something positive. And I wanted to sit on this failure piece just a little bit because there are a lot of folks who I've seen on social media, and they're like, failure is not an option, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Failure is a given, right?
Yeah.
Because who succeeds 100% of the time?
Right.
So it's a lie to think that failure is not an option. Quit lying, because you're setting yourself up. And what that does is it actually attracts more failure. You know, it creates so much fear in you of failing.
Wow.
Then it creates anxiety around everything that you're trying to attain.
Oh my goodness,
You
that's
know,
powerful.
and that anxiety is actually what pushes away your success.
Wow. Oh, that's good stuff. I wish you could just repeat that verbatim. We're just going to have to hashtag.
I wish.
No, that was so good, because I think that we have a misunderstanding of what our failures mean. And, you know, and that this is really a part of our lessons and our redirection and just the different things that we, you know, it's part of the journey, you know, and if we don't fail, then I don't think that's possible.
Right. And our success is in the journey.
Yeah.
You know, being able to overcome obstacles and being able to deal with the challenging moments. Yeah.
Well, so in my class last night, we were teaching some, you know, life coaching skills, and one of the things that I posed to the class, and they really had a hard time with this, and I'm going to pose it to you as the expert. When you are trying to accomplish a goal, there's something you have a vision for, and you want it to happen, and you keep getting knocked down, and it just keeps not happening. How do you know when the message is it's time to stop and redirect, or this is a test of your endurance, keep going? How do you know the difference?
That's a good one.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
a tough one.
and honestly, that's one that I struggled with in my personal life forever because I'm a fighter and, you know, I'm going to do it and I will accomplish it by all means.
Right.
And, but when you can implement mindfulness in your life and just really be in tune with yourself, it's not so much what you're trying to accomplish outwardly, but inwardly. And so once you get in touch with that, it really gives you a navigator of when to push and when to pull back.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, so at some point, that effort to get that thing done, get that thing accomplished, then becomes more of a thing of ego then.
Exactly.
If we're not in tune with the mindfulness piece.
Yep.
Wow. So that's like enlightening for me. I'm like, whoa, okay. Because we talked about ego last night in class, and at what point, you know, have you ever had a conversation with somebody and you realize, oh, I'm not even talking to this person anymore. I'm talking to their ego.
Right.
Their ego is the one that's responding to me, not who they truly are. And so when we start wearing that ego costume, and you know, that's when we don't hear anymore the messages about, okay, it's time to stop, it's time to redirect or pay attention. So exactly. So it's really interesting, and so I guess that key is to be in tune with yourself. I have a friend who for the last 20 years has been trying to get a certain certification, and that every time the individual takes the test, they fail for the past 18 years. And I've said, you know, have you thought that maybe there's a different path? No, I am supposed to push and get this thing done. 2 decades of your life, you know, and it's like at some point you've got to know when it's time to stop.
Yeah.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve. It's now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Okay, so 5 tacos of cheese and a large soda. That's $10,012. Please drive around.
Wait, 10,000 what?
It's obvious you're buzzed and driving.
I've only had a few. I'm fine.
Yeah, the food's $12, but getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Please drive around. Actually, just park and come in.
Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Listen, as a hiring manager, I've got to tell you, the best job candidate isn't always the typical candidate. Sometimes they're a grad of life.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience, an ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Sometimes the best candidates aren't the ones you're used to.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
And so a new American industry has been born.
Sensation Station Network.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I'm joined by Djemie Lespiegle, and we are talking about how to heal your emotional pain. And so we looked at letting go of rejection, avoiding ruminating, turning failure into something positive. And the next one, make sure guilt remains a useful emotion. So can guilt be a useful emotion? Well, it can be beneficial in that it can stop you from doing something that may harm another person. And it makes it a strong relationship predictor, actually. If somebody is able to feel guilty about something they did to somebody else and change and fix that situation. So, but if you feel guilty after apologizing for a wrongdoing, and you're still, lingering in that guilt and it becomes excessive, then that is going to lead to pain for yourself.
Absolutely.
So have you seen this happen, and how have people resolved that issue?
Definitely. And especially in substance abuse, too. People carry a lot of guilt. And guilt, like he said, is very healthy because this is how we are accountable. And so if we're going to progress, we have to be accountable for ourselves, our actions, and the things that has happened in our life in order to bring forth change and growth. But when guilt transitions into shame, then that becomes about, once again, our worth, our value. Who we are.
Right.
Yeah.
I love, you familiar with Brene Brown? Love Brene Brown and her work on shame.
Yeah.
And she does look at that distinction. Guilt is one thing. Guilt is about the behavior.
Right.
And shame is about who
the
I
person.
am. Yeah. And so, are there ways that people kind of can come away from stewing in guilt? Are there strategies?
I mean, the best thing really is to make amends to yourself and make amends to others. And they say actions speak louder than words. Once you put into action the non-shameful behaviors, then of course you're just going to walk right out of that.
Yeah.
It won't stick.
And I think there's a lot of value in being gentle with yourself and allowing that I'm going to make mistakes,
right?
And so where's the value and where's the lesson in the mistake? But I cannot beat up on myself. The world's already doing that for me, so I've got to learn how to be gentle with myself. Just
like we apologize to others, we have to apologize to ourselves.
Yeah.
It's part of being accountable.
Right, right. Good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, all of these can be a show topic. Every one of
Right.
every one of these we can go into. And then the last one is use self-affirmations if you have low self-esteem. So while positive affirmations are excellent tools for emotional help, if they fall outside of the boundaries of your beliefs, they can be ineffective. And so this may be the case for people with low self-esteem for whom self-affirmations may be more useful. So self-affirmations such as, I have a great work ethic, can help to reinforce positive qualities that you believe you have, as can making a list of your best qualities. So I don't know, so for a while I was into that show. What is the show with Gabrielle Union, and she puts the Post-it notes all over?
Oh, Being Mary Jane.
Being Mary Jane.
Yeah.
So for a hot minute, I was into that show, and then I just kind of grew weary of the redundancy of, you're still making the same mistakes.
Yeah.
So she's posting all these Post-it notes all around the house, and in my opinion, it doesn't really seem to be all that effective for her, because she still has all of these internal issues that aren't being addressed. So how would you address that? If Mary Jane was sitting in this chair with you and she said, but I put the positive affirmation on my mirror this morning that said, I am strong and worthy and mighty. So I don't know what's going wrong. I want to know when we come back how you would address Mary Jane. So stay with us and we will be right back.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm fleece on a
I
cold
want to be
day.
a football
I want to
stadium.
be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Oh, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel.
And a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and thanks for joining us. I see Althea Wright and Johnny and Sharon. Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live. Today we are talking about how to heal your pain, and or pain to power really is what we're talking about. So the last thing that I had mentioned, well, one of the fifth method for healing our pain is using self-affirmations if we have low self-esteem. And I mentioned Mary Jane, a fictional character, but very real stuff. I know women who do these things. They have all these affirmations and they say all the right things, but then when it comes to actually living out their lives, it's just a hot mess. So Mary Jane is sitting in a chair in front of you, and she has all her Post-it notes on her mirrors, all the affirmations, but she's still making really terrible decisions in relationship, in family life, across the board. How do you, what do you say to that, to somebody who says, I got the affirmation thing down?
And I think that speaks to doing your work, and there's just no getting by with some sticky notes that's really going to be life-changing for you. If you're really looking to improve your quality of life, there's going to have to be that gut-wrenching moment where you really look at yourself in the mirror and look at the beliefs that you hold. Because you can have 1,000 affirmations, but if deep down you have it set that you're not good enough, that's what you're going to live out. So until that changes, it's only going to reaffirm what you still believe.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, because I know a lot of people who do that, and they are, and it's not, I don't say this to knock them, because they are trying. They really think that they are doing what it takes, but when the results and when the fruit that you continually yield is rotten, then there's something that you really need to go back and look at.
There's a disconnect.
Absolutely. So where in that is the role of the psychotherapist versus the role of the coach?
This is where it's definitely therapy work. I would definitely have Mary Jane on my couch for a good little while. Because those things are the things that are a little bit more set in stone for us. And they go back to our beliefs and about ourselves and the world and relationships, and those are usually a little deep rooted, and so they don't change overnight, and they don't change with sticky notes. It actually takes work, with a therapist.
I think that's a book title for you. Your life doesn't change with sticky notes.
By
Djemie. There you go. I love it. Okay, well, we are going to get into the balance challenge.
Keeping your balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
All right, so today's balance challenge is brought to you by BBLA Cosmetics. BBLA stands for Breathe Beauty LA. They are the cosmetic company that is usually responsible for the look on my face. I'm giving my face a break from makeup for a little while, but if I decide that I need to get my makeup done this weekend, I'm going to a wedding, they are who I'm going to. So check them out, www.breathebeautyla.com. That's breathebeautyla.com. Funmi Makinde is the owner, and she is quite amazing, very sweet-spirited, and knows her stuff. She doesn't just do makeup. She does skin treatments and you got skin tags, she can take care of those skin tags. So check them out. Now, today's balance challenge, I want you to find your place of power. So we've talked about pain. We really haven't gotten into power. And one of the things that I firmly believe that is, no matter what situation you find yourself in, whether you are in a toxic relationship or if you are, in the hole in incarceration, you have the opportunity to find your place of power in that situation. So in every situation that frustrates you this week, my challenge is that you make it a point to find your power in that situation, no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
Your boss gets on your nerves, your child drives you crazy, God forbid, lose your house. Where's your power in that situation, and how do you claim that power? So that's my challenge for you this week. In every situation that frustrates you this week, make it a point to find your power in that situation. Do you have anything to add to that?
And finding your power, can be found within.
Yes.
It's not something outside of you. Just tap into what's important to you, and you'll find your power right there.
Yes. Yes, I mean, I did a training with a group of individuals who were training to be mentors for incarcerated individuals. Mm-hmm. They were returning citizens, so they were no longer incarcerated. But their whole thing was, I wanted to help them. One of the individuals told me he was in a basement, tied up, didn't know how he was going to get out, but he found his place of power in that moment.
Yeah.
And that was, he went deeply within and found his place of power. So you can find your place of power this week.
It's in there.
It's in there. So that's my challenge to you this week. We'll be right back.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Love Notes with Dr. Pamela.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange with Dr. Pamela and Djemie Lespiegle. We are talking about how to go from pain to power. So our love note for today comes from Andrea. It's really short and sweet and to the point. But first, our sponsor for Love Notes is Write, Pitch, Publish. Write, Pitch, Publish is the Innovative Writers Conference. You'll have the opportunity to meet literary agents, sit face-to-face with them, get feedback on your manuscript, and I'm telling you, when I experienced that, it was life-changing for me. So you have the opportunity to learn from experts. This is coming September 23rd to Atlanta and February 9th to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So go to writepitchpublish.com for details. Guaranteed, it's a conference that could absolutely change your life. So dear Dr. Pamela, I've had the hardest time when it comes to forgiveness. Ooh. I know forgiving is supposed to help me, but to be honest, sometimes I really just don't want to because I don't think they deserve it. How do you just let things go, Andrea? Ooh. I appreciate her. I appreciate how candid she is with that. You know, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
I just don't want to.
Yeah.
So how would you help somebody like Andrea? I mean, because sometimes, I mean, I know for me, I've kind of grown into the practice of forgiving. It's just something that, you know what, I'm not going to hold on to this. I'm going to let it go. Right. I'm going to forgive. For some people, that is just not in their, I don't know what the word is, but.
Yeah. And you know what? Forgiveness, we have to redefine these things again. You know, oftentimes people think if I forgive, then that means I become okay with what has happened. And there's a difference between acceptance, you know, and actually being okay with something.
Yeah.
I don't have to be okay with it, but I can accept that it has happened.
Right.
And I need to get rid of it in my life.
Yes.
Right? So forgiveness is more for you as an individual than the other person.
And she acknowledged that. She said, I know forgiving is supposed to help me, but to be honest, I really just don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm putting an accent on your... But, to me, that says, I just want to stay mad. I
want to stay mad. And there's a cost to it. You know, I'm not going to tell you to be happy. You can definitely stay mad if you want to, but know that in exchange, you're giving up something of yourself to remain mad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there a time period where, okay, it's justifiable for this person to be mad? Go through your mad, because sometimes our emotions, we have to allow our emotions to play out. But so at what point is it, how long can somebody stay mad? And I know you can't put a time frame on it.
Right.
And then at what point is it time to go from being mad to working on forgiveness?
The point where it no longer serves you. Right? Sometimes we need to be mad to get out of a situation.
Oh, yeah, that's
or
good.
we need to be mad to do something different.
Right.
And so it serves us at that point. When you're just mad and you're sitting with yourself upset and it becomes a hindrance, then it's no longer serving you. It's time to move forward.
That's really good because, a lot of people like to discount emotions. Like, emotions are, but emotions they're a part of us for a reason.
Right.
They save our lives. They're the things that let us know that I need to get out of this street. The fear of getting hit by a car is an emotion.
Yeah.
And that plays itself out, I think, in different situations that we find ourselves in. And so I want to acknowledge that, sometimes I really just don't want to because I don't think they deserve it. You're upset, you're mad. It's okay to have that emotion for a while.
Right.
But not a long while.
Because it's going to cost you your peace.
Yeah.
And if your peace is of value, then you'll work on it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's really good. And it's interesting because one of the things we're going to talk about today, I'm like, is it coming up? Is where we are. It's called the evolutionary scale of life, something. But the highest place you can get to is a place of peace. And I think it's a really good way to kind of look at where do we fall on this and how far do we need to go before we get to that place of peace. So that's coming up on the second half of the show. So stay with us. We will be right back on the Live Exchange.
This is my Mac Daddy vibe I'm giving you in all of its splendor. What's up? Live.
All right, welcome to hour number 2 of the Live Exchange. We've covered so much already, and it's such a great topic. We are talking about the practice of reframing our lives. We're talking about from pain to power, the practice of reframing our lives. We're here every Thursday from 11 to 1. I'm Dr. Pamela, and joining me today is Djemie Lespiegle, psychotherapist, professional life coach, author, and we're just talking, we're just talking about forgiveness and how forgiveness actually serves us and can either help or hinder us from getting to a place of peace. If we don't forgive, we're impinging on our own potential for peace. So, we're mad. They're over there cool, living their life, doing their thing, and we're messing ourselves up.
Exactly.
So you cannot want to forgive all you want, but it doesn't serve you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. So, author, can you tell us about your book?
I haven't written yet.
Okay.
We're in the process, speaking into existence.
I love it. What is it about?
So I'm still going off of the pain to power.
I love it.
And with the stuff that I've started already, just kind of talking about my own personal experience. The most heart-wrenching one was the one that pushed me into my life path where I really belong. And so, in what I'm writing, I'm getting to how the hardest experience that is made just for you. Yeah.
Ooh. So are you willing to share any of that experience or give us
Absolutely.
a
Like, so
snapshot?
for me, it was the loss of my marriage, you know.
yes.
And when I think about it, the biggest lesson in it for me was that I built this life, right? And I was so proud of the life I built, the family I had, and to watch it crumble.
Wow.
And so those are the experiences that it's not even so much about the experience. Yes, there's a lot of drama to that, but it makes you question, you know, your worth. It makes you question, I work so hard, and it makes you question these deep beliefs. If I treat people well, people will treat me well.
yes.
If I work hard, then I will get what I want.
Right.
And those things crumbled,
Yeah.
you know, and so it challenged these deep-seated beliefs, and I had to start to look at the world different if I wanted to move forward.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. That's actually how I started my book. It's in the one, it's not out yet, the one that's coming out in the fall. And it basically starts with this quote that says, you know, if, you know, love begets love, you know, if you put love out in the world, love will come back to you. And that's the quote. But then I enter the book by saying, really? Is that how it works?
Exactly.
You know, does love really beget love? You know,
Right.
and just kind of challenge that notion a little bit, because it doesn't feel like it in certain moments in our lives when we're losing a marriage, when
Right.
we're going through financial difficulties, when our children are acting up. You know,
Right.
we're like, yeah, love beget love, whatever. But what I came to is that love begets love, but not always in the time, place, or manner that we
Right.
expect. And so we have to stop looking at it as something that duplicates itself in the exact same way we put it out. It doesn't.
It
come
doesn't.
back that way.
It doesn't come back that way. And it comes back in a very unique way for everyone.
Based
and
on
I
what we
think
need.
based on what you need.
Right.
And, you know, and based on what you're meant to have.
Yes.
Sometimes you have things in your life and you think, this is what I've always wanted. And there's so much more in store for you. And that's the abundance piece I talk about.
Love it.
You know, and sometimes to tap into your abundance, you need to lose the things that you don't really need.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yes. I mean, and to lose the things you really don't need. So being able to decipher between what I want and what I need. Sometimes we can't make that distinction until we lose it.
Until we
and then
lose
we
it.
realize, I thought I needed that.
Right.
But somehow I'm still alive, you know.
Exactly.
So, wow. And so I think that as devastating as that can be for us, it really is something that's taking us even closer to where we need to be. So,
Exactly.
wow. All right. Stay with us on the live exchange. We will be right back.
Leaders aren't born, they're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to Academy of Creative Coaching. Leaders aren't born. They're made. And not just anywhere. They're made in special places by special qualified trainers in places like the Academy of Creative Coaching. The Academy of Creative Coaching is an international certification program with courses in health and wellness coaching, spiritual coaching, relationship coaching, executive coaching, life coaching, and cultural competency coaching. Courses are online, hybrid, or face-to-face. The Academy of Creative Coaching is empowering coaches to empower the world. Make a positive change in yourself and the world. Go to academyofcreativecoaching.com.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped. Childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You don't usually get a stock tip from a 16-year-old, but I'm here to tell you about a different kind of stock. It's called Better Futures. A stop for social change that's not about making money. Instead, you invest to help students like me go to college. This is beyond a simple donation. It's the opportunity for America to invest in its kids and take an active stake in the future of the country. The return on your investment isn't money. What you get back is knowing you protected our potential. So one day, that potential can grow up to become surgeons and architects, executives and engineers, people who can change the future just by being a part of it. My name is Alicia, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A public service announcement brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Primary election. Lack of diversity. Gas prices.
Michael, yes, trending topics.
All right, so trending this week, it's back to the Cosby trial. So Bill Cosby, 80, has pleaded not guilty to the charges of sexual indecent. Well, it's 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. Prosecutors accused that he drugged and then assaulted Andrea Constand, a former Temple University employee, in January 2004 as home outside of Philadelphia. His attorneys argued that Constad was a con artist who was obsessed with Cosby's fame and money, and she invented the story of assault as part of a scheme to sue him and profit in a civil settlement. So this is separate from the other cases that happened. Because my first question was, wait a minute, double jeopardy. I mean, can they try him again for the same thing? And so apparently this is a completely different case. Monday, prosecutors revealed for the first time that Cosby paid Constand $3.38 million as part of a civil settlement related to the alleged assault. Cosby did not admit any liability, wrongdoing, or fault in that settlement. Wow. So that's a tough one, and I have really kind of refrained from giving an opinion on this particular case and or on any of these cases, largely because I just don't know, and I just, it's one of those things where I don't know. I just don't know, Yeah. So I think anybody is capable of doing exactly what he is being accused of. I think it's possible that he could totally be guilty, and I think it's possible that he can totally be innocent. Well, I don't know about totally innocent. Right. I think there might be, there's probably some gray area there. Right. But I just think it's interesting that this is continuing, to carry on. And by the way, the trending topics for this hour is brought to you by Peasy Heads Lemon Butter Cream. Peasy Heads is a natural hair company that also offers this amazing lemon butter cream that I actually use on my daughter's hair. And it's a all natural products, and check out their services at www.peasyheads.com. That's PeezyHeadz.com. Connect with Daisy Mack. She knows her stuff, and she can help bring out the best natural you possible. She calls herself a natural hair activist, which I love. So I'm curious to know about your thoughts on this sexual assault conversation that's been happening in the country with regards to, now, we're standing up, we're speaking out, we're calling them out, and it's not always a popular thing to do because it's the people that we've admired, like the Bill Cosbys, like the I can't think of the name of the other dudes, but it's,
Matt Lauer.
Matt Lauer. So what, and it's it kind of has its peaks and valleys, it kind of has been, we hear about it, then we don't hear about it, we hear about it, then we don't hear about it. But I'm just wondering, do you think that it's actually transforming our society, or was it just a fad that's just kind of like, okay, we dealt with that, so let's move on to something else?
And, I mean, when we talk about this topic, I think that's exactly what happens. It peaks and valleys, because even when it does occur, somebody comes out and says, this has happened to me, there might be a tension in the immediate moment, and then you never hear anything else.
Right.
And we have a lot of people who live with abuse and don't really address it until well into their adulthood, because nothing happened. And I think that's what it's bringing attention to more than anything, is that this happens so much and nothing happens about it.
Right.
Mhm.
It has become, because I don't want to even speak as if it's past tense, but it has become part of the corporate culture in some
Mhm.
ways, that, there's certain levels of harassment that, well, we won't tell about that because that's
Right.
not, it's not that bad. So we're just going to,
Mhm.
painfully and silently accept it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so there's also been a lot of backlash for people who've experienced sexual harassment and wait 20 years and then say something. But as you said, 20 years ago, there may not have been a platform or a listening ear
Right.
for something like
Yeah.
that.
How people respond to trauma, others who wasn't a part of it, really impacts the way the person who has experienced it process that.
Right.
And sometimes it will shut you down for a long time until you're ready to look at that or have some form of support to back you up.
Right, right. I'm curious, and this to me is another form of going from pain to power. You've experienced
Absolutely.
this sexual harassment, and then however you choose to address it, because I definitely don't want to universalize that everybody needs to do this or everybody
Right.
needs to do that. It really is going to be dependent on who you are
Mhm.
and what you need. But this seems to be an opportunity to help people see the potential of going from pain, to power.
To power.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I also wonder if in the 90s, 80s, 70s, how was sexual harassment defined in those days? And does that make a difference in how we define it? So we define it differently today. We definitely are much more clear
Right.
on what sexual harassment is. So if something happened in the 70s and it doesn't, and that definition didn't exist back then, does it still make it
wrong for today?
Yeah, does it still, can we bring it into today's format and how we define it today and say, well, they did this to me in the 70s, though the education, the information we had about sexual harassment was different.
Yeah.
And I'm asking because I'm curious. But when we come back, we'll delve into that just a little bit. So stay with us. I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Stay with us on the Live Exchange.
Oh, long time no see. It's me, the rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Hey, become the new you at Cobb County Kia. We still have 0% for 75 months on Optima, Forte, Sorrento, and Sportage. We also have that 90-minute guarantee. So this is what you do. Shop Cobb County Kia in Kennesaw and CobbCountyKia.com. 90-minute guarantee by appointment only. Purchase must be on in-stock unit. 90-minute guarantee based on original customer agreement. To terms dependent on credit. Lending of $500 will be paid by check once the loan is funded by lending institution or may be deducted from the price of the car, whichever customer chooses. See dealer for details. So this is what you do.
No word in the English language is less convincing than probably.
Are you sure we should get matching tattoos on our first date?
Sure. We'll probably stay together.
Probably? It's been 23 minutes since I ate. I can probably swim.
You should wait 30 minutes.
Okay, now tell me what to do. Cannonball! Cramp! Oh, I have a cramp. I can probably hit the green from here. Probably. Can I get a mulligan? Ready to go?
Hey, are you sure you're okay to drive?
Yeah, I'm pretty sober. Yeah, I'm probably okay.
Probably okay isn't okay, especially when it comes to drinking and driving. If you're drinking, call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
All right, right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and so before the break, I was asking a question. It was a hard question, and the reason why I'm posing it is because it was posed to me, and I'm thinking, ooh, I really don't know. But the question is, if we look at this whole sexual assault issue and the conversations we've been having with the Me Too, there are some areas of sexual assault that I guess, for lack of better words, have had some gray area. Is that a violation? How do you know when you've crossed the line? And our society, as it was in the 70s and the 80s, accepted things that we don't accept today. So if somebody was really drunk and they were involved in a sexual encounter, a sexual experience, but they weren't fully aware of what was going on.
Right.
There was a time where that wasn't prosecuted, where it was like, well, they drink the alcohol.
Right.
And some of these laws have come into place. And in fact, when I lived in Wisconsin, the state laws really didn't do much to protect the people who had alcohol and were in that situation, because it's a state that, they have their beer. So I'm just wondering, if you're in a society that says that, that's not necessarily a crime, and then we fast forward 20 years and we say, this happened to me back then, can the person be held accountable when that wasn't really something that was listed as a crime, or that it was kind of still in the gray area?
Right.
How does that play out legally?
I wonder.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think if, anybody has any thoughts or, comments on that, I would love to hear it. But when that question was posed to me, I was kind of like, oh, I really don't know. I mean, because the pain isn't any different in the person.
Right.
Regardless of what the law says, And so,
definitely. And I think we'll see more of that too, because I feel like we're a lot more verbal as people.
Absolutely.
And we have more of a platform to speak up about things that are not okay with us.
Right.
And that's actually getting translated into change policy, change laws.
Right.
And so we're going to see a lot of that. And I'm kind of happy for it, because it's setting a new standard. If it wasn't then it is now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I've heard in the state of Georgia, and I probably should look it up before I try to say what it is. But from my understanding, if two people have alcohol and they really are, they don't have the ability to give consent to have sexual relations. So how many times do do people engage in relations after having had some alcohol? And
your
so
inhibitions are a lot lower at that time.
Right.
So
I guess it's to me it sounds like a really extreme effort to make sure that we are not crossing the lines into assault. I appreciate that. But at the same time, really? So any alcohol between the two people eliminates the ability to give consent. Woo.
That's extreme.
Yeah, I would say. All right. So is it the balance challenge? I can't remember. It's the research. So we're going to get into the research.
In the interest of science.
All right, so once again, the research is brought to you by Red Door Consulting. They are a boutique management consulting firm that prides itself as an innovative leader in brand development. If you are, no matter what your particular brand is, what your style is, Tarshish Jordan will try to make sure that your brand comes out. So it's not about putting everybody in suits and ties. It's about figuring out, what is your brand? What are you about? How do we make that come through in the way you dress, in the way you present your website, in the way that you present your services? How can we help you? Check them out at reddoorconsulting8.com. That's reddoorconsulting8.com. Okay, so today's research, it comes from a book called Transformational Life Coaching by Sharice Carter Scott and Lynn U. Stewart. And I think it's really interesting because it's a way of really looking at, before we decide what it is that we want to achieve, do we even know that we can get there? Do we believe that we can get there? So what are our beliefs as it pertains to getting what we want in life? So there are 5 different levels. And the first level is called the disconnection with self. So at this level, it's I don't know what I want. I can't be it, I can't do it, and I can't have it. So it ain't gonna happen then.
Right.
So I don't. This is disconnection. I don't know what I want. I can't be it. I can't do it. I can't have it. Number 2 is desire and defeat. So at this point, I know what I want, but I can't be it. I can't do it. I can't have it. It's done for me. Level 3, limits to deserving. I know what I want, and I can have some of it, but not all of it.
Right.
Which is common. I've seen this a lot. Level 4, connection and abundance. So that means I know what I want and I can have it all. Guess what? There's one even higher than that. What could that possibly be? Level 5 is union and manifestation. I have what I want. So yes. So the one that I want to come back to is the limits to deserving, particularly because a lot of people who I talk to, so when I was in my early 30s, that's when I went through a divorce at that time. And I had several friends, female friends, who were, they were divorced. They had been divorced for a while, and they had grown into a place of bitterness. And I vowed I will not be that person in my 40s who is bitter. I just won't. And it was so abundantly clear to me that, wow, something happens when they cross over the threshold of the 40s. And what is going on with that? So I was very intentional. In fact, when I was 39, I went through therapy on purpose to say, you know what? I want to make sure I'm good going into my 40s. And so one of the things that I have often seen, now that I'm in my 40s and the majority of my friends are kind of around that age range, I'm starting to see limits to deserving, particularly when it comes to love and marriage. And so there's a lot of lack of belief that they can have what they fully desire.
Right.
So it's, I can get married, but I'm not going to sit there and think that for the rest of my life he's never going to cheat on me, or I'm not going to sit there and assume that it's going to last forever, or I'm not going to just think that it's going to be somebody who's exactly what I want. So if he's not a nurturer, I mean, that's fine.
Right.
And so it's like, what?
Yeah.
So it is that I know what I want and I can have some of it, but not all of it.
Right.
And I see that all too often in the 40s when it comes to relationships. And I am still the believer in, no, I can have all of it. Now, there is probably some need to modify, like in terms of what the values are, in terms of, is it that important that the person is 6 feet tall and, that kind of thing. But really, holding on to what your values are and letting that lead, as opposed to what those superficial things are.
Yeah.
So,
because you're past the fairy tale of
Yes.
it, by that time.
Right.
And you know what you want.
Right.
Now, are you deserving of what you want? That's your work. There
you go.
So, and we can't get what we are not able to give.
Right.
So if you believe in these things, then you have to also get to a point where you actually can give that to someone.
Oh, that's good. That's good, because, a lot of times people say, I deserve love, I deserve this. And, well, yeah, you might. But let's figure out what you need to do to get to that point. We're going to talk about it more when you come back, because that's just too good. Stay with us.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me. Whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool, and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Major key alert. Life is like school. You will be tested, so pass it.
Learn the real major keys to getting to college at GetSchooled.com. Brought to you by Get Schooled and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dr. Phil here. You know, I help people solve difficult problems every day, but one problem has me stumped: childhood hunger. Nearly 16 million children in America struggle with it. Luckily, the Feeding America network of local food banks collects surplus food, giving hope to hungry children and their families. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, and I am joined by Djemie Lespiegle as we are talking about going from pain to power. And one of the things we just talked about is deserving. And I think commonly we say, you deserve love, and you deserve the best. You deserve to be treated well. And I am one who always likes to kind of blast cliches. Mm-hmm. So when somebody says, you deserve to be treated well, you deserve this and you deserve that, my question is always, but do they? I mean, because are they treating people well? Right. Are they honoring others? And have they, like you said, done the work to get to that point? Are we born deserving? Mm. I mean, how does that, at what point do you, and I know that's a controversial question, I know. But I asked this because, you kind of triggered these questions in me. But you said, you've got to do the work. Mm-hmm. So if you are, in fact, individual comes to mind now who is a hot mess, right, and wants to find love, but the individual is a hot mess. Right. And while that person probably deserves to be loved, it might not be right now that it's time for that person to have that relationship.
You have to get an alignment for the things that you want in your life. Right. So I can't say I want love, but I still have bitterness in my heart. Yes. It's just not in alignment with what I say I want. Right. And so that's usually the gap for a lot of individuals, is that of course we want abundance. Mm-hmm. I want to be rolling in dollars, and I want to have love in my life, and I want to be happy. Our abundance looks very different for everyone. Yes. And so of course we want these things, but how much is your life and heart set up for that life? And we have to look at that. Because once you are in alignment, those things will literally fall on your lap.
Wow. So, okay. So now I'm getting personal. Like, wait a minute. So if those things have not fallen on my lap, does that mean that I'm not in alignment, or does that mean that I'm just impatient?
Of course, time is part of it. Yeah. But there may be some areas that are not quite defined in alignment yet. Right. Because there's so many puzzle pieces to it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to consider, because as soon as you think you've got it covered in one area, then it's time to work on something else. Yeah. We're so intricate. There's so many levels to it. Yeah. And there's things that are there that we don't even know are there until we're confronted with certain issues, or we have certain challenges we're faced with. And that's why we welcome pain, because that's what helps us tap into those areas in order to get in alignment for our abundance.
Because we don't know it's there until
we don't know it's there until it hurts.
Ouch.
And then it's like, oh, I can fix it now and get the love I want. Right. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I have pointed to other people, and I'm like, okay, so they are really mean, and they have got this amazing man who's doting over them, and like, but they're mean-spirited. Like, how did that happen? And so I always have to evaluate, first of all, my thinking, like why I'm comparing and looking at other people's lives, because I don't know what their struggle is. Right. Perhaps their struggle isn't the relationship, but it's something that I'm thriving in, and they may be looking at me like, how's she thriving in that? Yeah. She's too nice.
Yeah. And it goes back to looking at people who we claim are successful. Yeah. And it's like, if they're successful but miserable, how successful is that? Right. And redefining these things. What makes someone successful? Yeah. Yeah.
It's so important before you look and point at somebody's situation and say, I want that. You don't know what they had to go through to get that.
Absolutely.
So looking at this, the levels of personal development, that whole, the part limits to deserving. I know what I want and I can have some of it, but not all of it. I think if you're at that place, getting to a place where, okay, so what do you need to do to get to the point where you truly believe and can embrace that I deserve all of that. So, all right, we'll be right back. Stay with us on the Live Exchange.
Use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bath water to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Having trouble finding Connor's middle school? Would you like directions?
No, why is Connor having trouble focusing in school?
Finding lowest airfare to Istanbul.
No, I'm tired of fighting with him over homework.
Home, walk, restaurant. Need a review?
No, I need help. He's very smart, but his mind wanders. He's disorganized.
I think I understand.
Oh, good.
Finding best potatoes for French fries.
No!
Russet, fingerling, Yukon Gold.
Why don't you understand me?
Sorry, I was trying to show how Connor feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
For the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues, this is what life can feel like. Explore understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues, designed to help your child thrive in school and in life. Understood.org, because understanding is everything.
Brought to you by understood.org and the Ad Council.
Hey, Brenna.
Hey, Prime.
Spring is in the air.
Oh, yes.
Love is too, and the weather makes it nice to be out with your boo on a date unless you don't have any money.
That's so true. But what are we going to do?
The Loop is going to look out for the people because our loyal listeners look out for us on ssnatl.com, Radio Not Come Down. Now, we want you to share the good vibes with other people, those you like.
Or even the ones that you don't like, because, hey, they need it too.
Plus, we got enough to go around for everybody.
Oh, so share and share alike?
Oh, absolutely.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say,
You know what to do.
tell them we on, so you can get this quick trip gift card right around the city, 285, 75, 85, top down, wind blowing your hair back, and the gas is on us. Maybe some treats too, so do this.
Like the post, tag 5 of your friends, and share the live.
When you hear us say, tell them we on, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. when you're inside the loop with Sean Prime and Brenna B.
Sensation Station Network.
Break yourself, fool!
Keeping your balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
All right, so today's balance challenge is I want you in every situation this week that frustrates you. Somebody gets on your nerves, somebody shuts something down for you, an opportunity doesn't come through, get in an argument, whatever it is, I want you to make it a point to find your power in that situation. And by find your power, I don't mean you get in an argument and you win. That's not what I mean. I mean that you find a way to rise above and not allow that thing to take you down and to mess with you for the rest of the day or the rest of the week. Do you have anything to add to that?
And I think that's the idea, is that we're going to face things.
Right.
They're going to come inevitably, but it's just being able to deal with it and move forward in a way that honors us.
Ooh, that's good.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I love that. So how do you honor yourself? How do you stay, keep your dignity through the situation. You don't keep your dignity by slashing the car tires.
Right.
You don't keep your dignity
Because that's not the person you are. So
Right.
while it might get your anger out, how much is it really honoring you as a person?
Right. So
Yeah.
your power is not in that bat that smashes the windows or the, the knife that slashes the
Right.
tires. That's not where your power is.
Exactly.
No, your power is in the place that's going to take you to peace.
Mhm.
So that should be the goal. And speaking of peace, the same researchers that brought us that last theory that we looked at, the stages of human development, Cherie Carter-Scott and Lynn Stewart, also presented the evolutionary scale of life conditions, which I really love. And what they did here is basically showing us, depending on where you are on that scale, is going to dictate how difficult or how easy it'll be to coach you. And that's going to be it relies upon your the place you are in your life mentally.
Mm-hmm.
So what she created was kind of the baseline, which is 0. That kind of is, I'm stable and I'm neutral at this level. If I go below this level, then it's going to be pretty hard to coach me. It's going to be hard for me to accomplish my goals. If I'm above the 0, the higher I am, the more likely it is for me to accomplish my goals and be coached. So just to give you a few of the ones that are below 0, like -1 is not in control of your own circumstances. But I also think there is some perception as well, if you don't
Right.
perceive that you're in control of your circumstances. If you're depressed or chronically ill, if you have an addiction or you're overusing or overdependent on something or someone, even, you're anxious, you feel debilitated, you feel paralyzed, you have a lack of sense of meaning in life. Those are the things that are going to make it really difficult for you to number 1, be coached, and number 2, to move forward and accomplish different goals that you have in your life.
Right.
So I'm going to pause for a second and give you an opportunity if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I call those blockages, right?
okay.
When we talk about alignment, sometimes it's not that our whole life is out of whack, but we have certain little blockages. And so it's important to just look at them, address your blockages in order to push forward.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah, and sometimes instead of referring to them as blockages, we'll just say, "Oh, my whole life is over.
Right.
It's in shambles." And
It's like, no, the whole artery is still there.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
it's pumping.
Oh, that's good.
But there's a little bit of blocks here and there that we just need to get out of the way.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
See, it's all about perception, reframing.
Exactly.
Yes. And then, so if you look above the 0, it's, you're taking responsibility for your own life. You believe that choices are available and you're exploring them. I've had conversations with people who are like, I've got no options.
Yep.
It's done for me. And it's like, are you kidding me? You've got an entire world of abundance that you
Right.
can draw into.
Yeah.
Designing your own life path, contributing to society, pursuing health and wellness on all levels. That's that's up at 5. Number 6 is being able to manifest your life purpose, and level 7 is inner peace. And so when you can get to, as you can rise, as you rise to that, it becomes more likely that you're able to accomplish your goals. I'll say that I found myself to be at number 6. I have reached number 7. I really have. But I haven't stayed there.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that's just...
That's true for me, too.
Yeah. So I have definitely am living my purpose and in a lot of different ways. And then there's other areas of my life where I feel like, well, I'm starting to get there. So I think it depends on what area of your life you're talking about. So when we come back, I definitely want to hear Djemie's thoughts on this and her reflections on this. So stay with us, and we will be right back.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When it comes to saving money, don't act like a baby.
Goo goo gaga.
Be the boss and make a budget.
I'm the boss, baby.
You're not the boss of me.
I am the boss of you.
Are not.
M2.
Are not.
M2.
Need a little help?
Aren't you going to do any work?
I'm very busy delegating.
Create a personalized savings plan.
We can share.
You obviously didn't go to business school.
And get other tools and tips at feedthepig.org. Brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
We're more connected than ever before. 90% of America's students use some form of social media, but not all of it's used in a good way. Hurtful posts online are leading to social isolation for many. Psychologists say it's bullying in a brand new way. Well, Beyond Differences and I Keep Safe are looking to change that with ideas for students, their parents, and even teachers. Take the pledge to be kind online and learn more at wearekindonline.com.
This is big business. This is the American way.
Sensation Station Network.
See ya.
All right, welcome back to the Live Exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela, joined by Djemie. We're talking about from pain to power. And I'm curious to know, we talked about the evolutionary scale of life conditions. And where have you found yourself on that scale? And how do you rise from one level to the next?
Right. Well, I guess it's my whole life journey, right?
Yeah.
And I could say I'm probably at about the 6 where I'm able to manifest my life purpose. But boy, did it take work to get there.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of things to get out of the way. There's a lot of things to get in alignment with, discovering what that is. And I can say, like you said, there's times where I've gotten to 7 and gotten to the inner peace, because I feel like if you're living according to your purpose, then there's just a sense of peace. All is well there.
Right.
And I feel like anytime I'm questioning if I'm still within that purpose is when I come out of the 7.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. I like that. Yeah, and that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way. But, when it's kind of flowing and it just kind of becomes the norm, you don't really question it. You're just doing it. You're in the flow. That's great. And so I know that you do a lot of work in From Pain to Power. Can you talk about that and just some of the workshops that you do associated with that?
Yeah, so that's a workshop I offer. And right now, actually, there's one coming up next weekend.
Oh, awesome.
Next Saturday, April 21st.
Okay.
And it will be at my practice at North Star of Georgia Counseling in Atlanta.
Okay.
And so I do those about twice a month.
Okay.
And if you go on my page, you can actually RSVP for these events. And it's either my personal page, Djemie Lespiegle, or Djemie's Life Coaching Solutions on Facebook. You can find the events there.
Okay, and I'll be sure to post that on the page as well. So.
And of course, I provide psychotherapy with North Star Counseling as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what can somebody expect who comes to a workshop From Pain to Power? Is there a certain demographic you're looking for?
So Pain to Power, I don't limit it to male or female. But it is it's not a huge workshop. I limit it to about 20 people.
Okay.
If it's even that. Because we're talking about pain.
Right.
And we're talking about something that, runs deep for a lot of people, and it brings up tons of things, right?
Absolutely.
And so I like to have it in an intimate setting where we just kind of circle up and talk about these things and how to move your life forward, how to redefine. We did a lot of redefining today.
Wow.
And that's a lot of what our workshops encompass, is what needs to be redefined in your life personally to take you to that place of power.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, you can find Djemie on her Facebook page and also on NorthStarOfGeorgia.com, but I will make sure that I post these so that everybody can connect with you. So thanks so much for joining us today.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to have you back. Thank you, everyone, once again, for tuning into the Live Exchange, where we exchange compelling dialogue around love, politics, and intellect every Thursday from 11 to 1 right here on the Sensation Station with me, Dr. Pamela. So remember, we'll be back next week, so join us. And I want you, in the meantime, to love yourself to life, dance confidently in the dark, and dream wildly unrealistic dreams. Have an awesome week.